Yeah, that's fine. Quietly, yes, for some reason. I know, but it's also extra quiet. We don't have the fan on. Welcome back to the National Players Club Garage Pod.
How this doesn't blow the speakers out and our voices do?
I think it's.
Do you know how to fade out?
I faded.
Come on,
You
DJ.
faded?
You faded right.
That's just how the phone works.
That's how his phone works.
I'm not working on the sound.
That's how your big Flintstone hands work.
Yeah, but that would
They're mine do the same thing. That's why I don't text.
You may want to slide over and.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
I feel like I'm in
That's what his
was it
quarterback's
Dumb
gonna
and
say.
Dumber? And this is the most obnoxious sound you've ever heard.
So, getting into.
Okay, really, I'm not unplugging.
All right.
Throw his phone.
All right, Garage Pod.
So we're getting into the last matchup of Week 10, which to me is kind of a big deal, especially if this one wins and this one loses.
But this one's going to win and that one's going to lose. But
I'm going to win.
But in the
So
meantime, we got a little... No sponsor this time. Right?
No sponsor.
No sponsor.
we're not wearing cologne.
So good luck.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
Got you.
Yep.
That's
So I literally, whenever you handed me the stack and said, divide this up, I literally went, there you go. Because I just want to hear y'all's take on each other. So take it away. Last matchup for Week 10.
Well, I would go first.
Yeah, we'll let the old guy go.
We've got myself and Kevin playing each other. I'm going to critique Kevin. He's going to critique me. Your coach, so you are sitting in the number one spot by
10 points.
So I get to go. I get to possibly dismantle the number one spot in the South. So actually, give me added fodder for the locker room.
I know, it kind of makes me want to go ahead and take that trade.
He's sitting at the coaching position of fourth. So you made some good picks this year.
Yep.
I got to give you that. But you are sitting on arguably the second softest schedule in the entire 12 teams. Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
And I put these numbers out here specifically with you in mind because every podcast we've done, you come out when we do the upcoming matchups and you start throwing out the projected matchups, well, they've got them by 10, and we got it by 6, but largely part, other than all of us to kind of do it right before we get in here, some people don't actually put their players in.
Yeah.
So that stuff kind of goes out the window. And we argue that every week. I'm like the biggest, I'm like, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Let's bring that up. But the thing is, you started all, for the most part, all of yours. And I started all of mine. So that was actually fantasy relevant.
Yes.
You're sitting at projected 134 points. We're projected at just a knockdown, drag-out fight this week.
5 points, yeah.
Cam Newton started for you last week. Is projected at 19. You've got, obviously, like I said, we kind of made our matchups. I don't see you pulling anyone off your bench. Other than you bolstered your bench in the event of a tie, you definitely have the bodies down there. Whereas I have probably about 5 or 6 holes, I think, on there. And it set up some
you got like
trades.
three holes that aren't playing. So I've got everybody in my team and on my bench playing. So
yeah. So I'm kind of hoping to get a win, or definitely a tie doesn't work for me. As a matter of fact, I'm actually looking to possibly trade off 2 of the 3 players I still have left on my bench playing for something for down the road. But Cam's playing Denver. It should be a shootout. Manny's been up there doing his thing, so making points. AP.
Interesting though, I saw a stat on CBS. Cam this year in the AFC has been 3-1.
So winning 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, okay.
3-1. So.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think it's gonna bode fantasy points for you. AP has been,
It's AP.
He's been the AP of old as of late.
Yeah,
43 yards away from hitting the 1,000-yard mark.
What ACL tear?
What's going to be interesting is I've got Andre Johnson. You have Andre Johnson.
Yes.
And I've got Arian Foster. So it's basically, if they throw I'm toast. If they run, you're
I'm
toast.
toast.
All right. So, but I mean, in that matchup with
And they're playing at Chicago.
and they're playing at Chicago, so they're going to shut down some aspect of the game, if not both. So it can be interesting to see who does what.
It's and honestly, I see the running game getting shut down before the passing game.
They've given Gronk 21 points projected. Now Brady comes back off of a bye week. They're fully rested. They've had a week to prepare. They're going to Buffalo. I like the matchup for New England.
No, Buffalo's coming to them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So there you go with me and my past shirt.
Yeah.
But in any event, so we're coming off a bye. We get to play Buffalo.
Yeah.
I like the matchup. I even actually put Steve Ridley in there. The thing is, there with New Orleans and so many of the handful of other teams, there are so many threats. Someone's going to find that mismatch, and it all comes down to who it is, whether it's Wes Welker or Stephen Ridley or Gronkowski or Aaron Hernandez.
I mean, even with Hernandez back, and we talked about this earlier. I honestly think Gronk is Tom Brady's safety net. He is more so than Welker, more so than anybody else.
Hey, I'll definitely give you that. Last year, this year has been, but it's Gronk. I don't get me wrong. I mean, I got mad love for Gronk, and he's gonna get the ball to him, and he's gonna get his looks, and but I think they've added more weapons this year, which has taken a bit away from them. And Wes Welker, although they kind of like downplayed him in the first part of the year, have brought him back into the fold now.
Right.
When they actually desperation need that first down, I see them going to him more often lately than not. Like you said, you bolstered your bench. You've got your starting lineup in. I think it's going to be a knockdown, right up fight. I need a win.
You need
a loss. Take it away.
All right, and so like I said, we're talking. I mean, we're very close in points. For projected points. Your coaching rank though is 10th, so you're not
almost bottom of the barrel.
Almost bottom of the barrel. So you're not putting in the right players when they need to be in there.
I know too.
But you are playing the harder schedule than I am. You're ranked 3rd. So, but I will give you this: the North is a lot tougher than what the South is. And it's no offense against Clint because he is in the South with me, but you do have. I mean, with you, Erica, Mike, even Bernie. I mean, they're just 4 consistently, putting up points, as opposed to what we are in the South.
And I went up against Brandon with no Aaron Foster.
Exactly.
I've had and the fact that I've made some adjustments. A bolster team. I like my team. I'm going to be really upset if I don't make the playoffs this year because this is actually one of my favorite teams going out there.
Right.
I put mad points up on my bench because I've had to make so many kind of like hairline decisions come game day, and sometimes they haven't worked out.
But again, that's a coin flip. I mean, you're starting a lineup. I mean, there is nobody I think in your lineup that you could flip out or change out. You've got Matt Ryan, Matty Ice.
Matty Ice this week.
Very tough matchup against New Orleans, who is coming up, and they are playing in the Superdome.
I don't think it's a tough matchup because you can throw on New Orleans.
Oh, you can throw on them, but playing at home against New Orleans. Again, we were talking about this off camera against playing in that type of situation. Against Minnesota, the Dome is a consistently tough place to play. The Superdome, tough place to play. Atlanta, is a tough place to play. In Seattle as well with 12 men there. It is a tough place to play.
Let me ask you real fast. I don't mean to interrupt you because I know you're running down mine. After last week's performance from New Orleans, putting up 40 fantasy points, do you think they come in with a rejuvenated defensive aggressive style, or do you think they get soft because they got comfortable with where they're at?
No,
obviously,
I think New Orleans defense has stepped up. They've got their defensive coordinator back. They've got the key people in their defense that were suspended because of the whole Bounty Gate thing. They're clicking. Their defense is clicking. I think their defense is going to be one of the toughest defenses to play against, whether it's at home or on the road moving forward, just because they have those key players. They've got their coordinator back, and it's like everything's coming into place for them on the defense.
Yeah, one free game does not clicking make.
I don't think I don't think it's that one. I don't think it's a fluke. I honestly don't.
Nope.
I honestly don't.
I don't see the same points coming up, but I do see the Saints getting that new breath of life.
Yeah,
They got Breeze back, Graham's back. They lost Darren Sproles, but they've actually found it in Chris Ivory and Thomas.
Yeah, Pierre
Thomas splitting that. That defense has found a way to push a little harder. I see high teens, low 20s coming out of them again.
Yeah, I mean,
but not
40,
the Saints of early season.
A 40-point game is not going to happen from them. You know,
that was them just
do
showing
you think
off.
they have the secondary to cover? See, now, because last week it was a little different scenario.
Right,
Do you think they have the secondary to cover two arguably number one wide receivers
absolutely,
and an arguably top
wait.
tight end in the passing game?
Okay, I see. He just said absolutely.
I'm not saying
this is coming from a guy that just said
I'm not saying
that those wide receivers were going to burn Dallas because they are that bad of a defense.
Here comes the Dallas part.
Oh,
no, I get this one. because he's done nothing but hard.
I'm not saying absolutely. I'm agreeing with Aaron. You know, it's absolutely they have a tough matchup. You know, I mean the two.
So you're saying the Saints defense is much stronger than
I'm saying Atlanta has the best wide receivers in the league.
Gotcha.
Absolutely, hands down. You've got Julio Jones, you've got Roddy White, you've got Tony Gonzalez,
and even Michael Turner.
Michael Turner, Jacquizz Rodgers. Yeah. I mean, they're
8-0 for a reason.
They are, and but you know, moving forward, they are playing some tougher teams. But I think
from what I've heard,
New Orleans defense is clicking. They hit it and they're running. Atlanta's going to have a tough matchup against them. Honestly,
I think that's
they had a tough matchup.
I think that arguably hands down.
They have a tougher matchup this week.
I don't know if they've called it out on the TV as far as like game of the week, but I think that's obviously
it's going to be a game of the week.
Yeah, that's something. That's a must.
And it's division matchup.
Well, because you got arguably one of the two top offenses going against each other, and Atlanta has been arguably one of the better defenses, and now versus last week's performance, you've got New Orleans coming in with a revamped defense. So I mean, that's going to be
fire.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly.
The thing with Atlanta, though, I mean, it's what they've done so far to be 8-0. You look at who they've beaten and who they have left to play. They have the easiest schedule of anybody else in the NFL, hands down. I mean, it's going forward, they do. But I think against New Orleans, they have the toughest matchup that they have faced so far in the NFL.
Yeah, well, it's
hands down. This is their absolute toughest matchup of their entire season until the playoffs.
How do I get past that?
What's that?
Okay, other than we've spent a lot of time on Matt Ryan. I'm saying
we spent 10 minutes on just this matchup. Yeah,
but it's everything that's on. I mean, you're solid. I mean, you've got some great players going ahead. Arian Foster should have a great game against Cincinnati. Reggie Wayne.
They're not playing Cincinnati. They're playing Chicago.
Oh, that
was the one you didn't like.
That's a tough match.
But it's Arian Foster.
It's Arian Foster.
Yeah.
But if they shut down the run game, Arian Foster's screwed. Your team is screwed if they shut down the running game.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think they do.
You got to keep in mind, though, your wide receivers on the flip side of that.
True. And that's the coin flip for both of us. But you know what? We're going to come back after this.
Let's take a quick break because I want to.
Yeah, I mean, we spent enough. We'll
come back and we'll do
almost this entire session on y'all's matchup, which is actually
it's a very important matchup.
Yeah,
it actually
is.
Oh, ow.
Oh, yeah, you got that cut on your hand. I'm sorry.
No. It is.
So,
there's right there. See that?
Aaron's taking a run.
We're actually going to get him like a podcast.
A podcast.
There's a divot right there.
There's a divot. Stick around. We'll be back with more to come. We're going to get into a little bit of fantasy fluff. Aaron's already run off. Kevin is still complaining about his hand. I think we're going to have to see a surgeon about it. Darren Sproles had to see one. He's out for a week or two. We coming back with some little more touch up on Thursday night's game, some fantasy fluff, and other fun stuff.
And unfortunately, we may or may not have a fantasy caller. I don't think we do this week.
We'll have to check with the producers and see what's going on. So stick around. We'll be back.
Deuces. What? Garage Pod?
Garage Pod. Welcome everybody back to the National Players Club Garage Pod. We're back
Pod.
with our We're back with our fantasy fluff and our picks for the week.
We got somebody on the phone to contribute to.
Yeah, last week we had who did we have?
Hi, I'm Quagmire.
Yeah, Quagmire. We had Quagmire. He was calling in from Boston. We had some technical difficulties, which lost the entire segment.
And the
all the segments.
Our fat Halloween bastards.
Yeah, we actually went all out.
But more importantly, Quagmire, did you make it through the hurricane?
No problem.
All right.
Sweet.
It's good to know.
So going into this, last week's matchups, we did our picks. Kevin took the lead, 19-23. He took out 4-2. He went 4-2 last week. So he's now got the lead in the South and in the picks.
So he won last week in fantasy football.
He won last week.
He won last week in the fantasy picks.
Yeah.
So he's like the Uber golden god right now.
No!
If somebody wants to be on,
There you go.
if somebody wants to be
Come
on.
on, man. Quagmire, you're my boy.
So, but here's the catch. You and I are 18-24
We're on his heels.
for the seat. Yeah, we're literally trying to kick that left foot under the right as he's running from us.
So we're all battling for 500 to be like semi-mediocre in fantasy picks.
Pretty much.
Quag, what do you
So
think
this
about
is
that?
why-
Battling for mediocrity.
Quagmire, what do you think about that?
I don't know, fellas. I think there's potential in this
I
crowd.
think there is too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate
all
our
right.
shout out. I'm looking forward to having you back again.
So we're gonna get with Quag. He's gonna like interject throughout this week since we didn't have time. Well, we know you're in, Bubba, but he's gonna interject with us on this. And next week we've got our producers talking to his management, and we're gonna try to get a full interview where you can sit down and talk with us. So we'll just have to see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, let's jump into it.
going into this week, I wanted to hit the first matchup because to me it's a big matchup. I need it as much as you need it. And it's East Coast Lanterns, or Emerald City Lanterns.
Emerald
I do
City.
that all the time.
Yeah.
And the East Coast Meat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's ECM against
ECL. It's the battle of the flowchart.
Yes.
I
I went with alphabet soup, flowchart,
figure
periodical table, whatever.
periodical chart. Yeah. So we'll start over here with Kev.
It's going to be a close game. It really is. I mean, it's going to come down to what your running back does against my wide receiver.
Depending on how Houston matches up with Chicago.
Exactly. I mean, Arian Foster against Andre Johnson. We'll see.
Right, sure. I'll give you that.
Yeah. It's
She also got Matty Ice thrown against New Orleans this week, right?
I do. I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. The projected points, we've got our starting lineups in for all intents and purposes set. We're looking at about a 5-point swing on my end of it, but 5 points in fantasy football means absolutely nothing. Obviously, we've seen what happened in the past. We get a 43-point person or a 62-point person or whatever else. But I do agree. I think the big swing in this particular matchup between you and I is going to come down to what Chicago does, what they shut down, and how Houston responds, whether it's via the air or via the run.
What defense are you running with this week?
still the Giants.
Still running with the Giants, and you're running with the Pats this week, which I think is a better matchup than
I
what
like the
Giants
Pats.
have.
We picked up Keep Talib. He's still on suspension.
He gets it off next week. So
we get him back next week. So
And-
I like the Pats defense moving
Bill
forward.
Belichick has a tendency to straighten out some characters. So
Occasionally, we roll our dice. We didn't work out so much with Ochocinco
Yeah.
or with Alfred Morris.
I just don't think Ocho
Morris.
meshed with
he
the pass game.
He just couldn't run routes. He was
he wasn't part of
It's just-
Belichick's
it
plan.
didn't-
So
and he went to Miami and it didn't work out down there. So I mean, it is what it is.
good luck to you.
So, anyways, so Kev, your pick.
Taking me.
Yeah, obviously, and I'm taking me.
So I'm gonna have to
Where
do
have I heard that before?
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna have to be the game breaker here. I'm gonna take the meat just because, for one, bodes well for me if he wins. On 2 levels, I go back into first, and well, as long as I beat John, and
You win.
That's why I think we're all like striving
Yeah.
Yeah.
for 500
yeah,
because we're all like, this is what helps. me.
playing close to
Yeah.
the best. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna take
So
East Coast
meat.
Me.
Meat. Gotcha.
No.
All right.
So moving on, we've got Gordo versus DK, and we're gonna let you lead this one off.
All right.
This
Sounds
is your
good.
boy.
Well, like I said, again, this is one of those ones I was holding on to the end because this is going to be my upset pick of the week. Gordo is sitting 16 points when he puts Wes Walker back in. Now that Pat dropped a bye, puts Wes Walker back in, has the lead. But I got to go with my boy. I got to stay true, and I'm taking that as my upset pick of the week.
DK over Gordo.
Yeah, that's my upset pick of the week.
I think Gordo's been kind of on Gordo's been there. I mean, he's that silent guy. He's like the ninja in fantasy football.
He's a quiet giant.
He's a quiet giant.
That's why he's a quiet giant.
I think Devo's been kind of on a slide. He hasn't been on top of putting his right picks in.
It's getting better this year, but yeah.
Getting better.
Right.
I mean, it's the second
he's
year.
not as ruthless as some of us are come Tuesday morning.
Right. But at the end of the day, I think Gordo has a little bit better lineup going into this matchup.
I agree.
I'm taking Gordo on the simple fact that he is the quiet giant. He's always got somebody that slides back in and either inches right in or takes the lead, and it turns into just barely beating you or crushing you by that one or two players that you didn't see coming. Now, DK does have a good matchup with Indy versus Jacksonville. Ray Rice running all over Oakland. He starts the right defense this week. I think he could probably make a trade for a good defense if he talks.
I took you last week. He's coming for you right now.
So
16 points.
I don't know, fellas. I think there's potential in this crowd.
we know there's potential in this crowd. There's always been potential in this crowd.
Apparently so.
Apparently. But I am going to have to take Gordo this week.
All right, moving on.
Moving on, we've got Two Pump Chumps versus Road Rash.
Myself.
Y'all both did the deep breath at the same time. So.
I'll take this one this time. I mean, and I'm not hating on you, B. I am absolutely not hating on you, but I think Mike has you this week. I think he does. I like his matchups. I just think he's got to go forward. I think he puts it in, puts the right team in it. I think he gets you this week. You're not going to get the same performance out of your running back as you did last week. Mike's
Half
got
your
this.
points.
Yeah.
Kevin apparently believes that Mike's going to put it in. So get prepared.
Put it all the way
That
in.
said, I've got to take as much
That
as
was
it
strangely
pains me,
arousing.
I've got to take Two Pump Chumps. I mean, he's
got Reed
he's
back,
seasoned
he's got
vet. He
Graham
knows what
back.
he's doing. He's got his quarterback back, and his quarterback only put up 16 points last week and still put up 130, 140 points, something like that. His tight end's back. They're both connecting. His
Well, you can
running
take that
back in Doug Martin.
150-something points and subtract 60 from it. He only put up 90 with the rest of his team.
True, but the thing is, he put up 43 the week before. If he even does a third of what he did the last 2 weeks, let's say he puts up 20 points with the quarterback and his tight end and the rest of his matchups, I think he's got Mike hands down. I got to take Two Pump as my lock of the week, if there was a lock of the week. And we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll get more on that.
So I guess he went. Or
So
he.
I'm looking at the matchup. Road Rash has a sneaky team. He's got LaShawn McCoy who can muscle through.
Had a great week last week.
Yeah, had a great week. And the Saints were on fire last week. And he still managed to muscle out over 100 yards and a touchdown. No, he didn't even get a touchdown, did he?
Nope.
He muscled out 100 yards, almost 20 points. He's got Vic, who's starting to turn up the heat a little bit. Vic may actually have a chance of putting up some good points going up against Dallas. Cowboys defense.
Mark that.
Cowboys defense is still going to turn up the heat on them. So it's going to be close. And I'm taking Road Rash as my upset.
That I think that would be a viable upset.
Yeah.
Because we've argued the upset
Back and
thing
forth.
before.
Yep.
So going on, we've got Show Me Those TDs and the Naughty Gnomes.
I'll take the Gnomes over the TDs. Brady's back versus Buffalo. On the road, whatever it is, it's Brady. Whether
She's back at full
Hernandez,
strength. I mean, bottom line.
her
Full strength,
her
she's looking
players
at
were putting up
160,
her
170
players
points.
putting up shy, 2-3 points shy of 30 points apiece with the Marshawn Lynch and Decker and some of our other players. Without Brady being in the mix, you put Brady back in there on top of the fact that Aaron Hernandez plays even to half his potential. I think she's got the TDs hands down.
I like where this is going.
Well, thanks, Quaggy, too. I mean, I'm with Aaron. I think Gnomes has this. I mean, Brady's back. You know, Trudy, I love you. I love what you're doing. But, I mean, you have one of those teams, and I'm there with you, too, in another fantasy league. I've got a great team. They're just not producing when they need to produce. And you're going to play spoiler for the rest of the season. But, unfortunately, I don't think this is one of those games.
All right. Love you, hon. I have to take the notes. She's back at full strength, like I was saying a while ago. Brady.
Even half strength, she almost beat him, and they only put 3 players up.
Yeah. Yeah. One freaking point. Anyway, Trudy has a phenomenal team. If they will all show up at the same time and put up the points that they are supposed to be putting up all season long. If the only way I see the Gnomes losing this is if Stafford and Johnson meet up in the end zone a couple of times. Vernon Davis has a great game going up against, I forget who they're playing, St. Louis. They're playing St. Louis this week. If Vernon Davis makes it to the end zone and Vic Ballard turns on the heat, those 4 players right there could give Erica a run for money. But again, that's a lot of ifs with half of her team. So unfortunately, this week I'm gonna have to take the notes.
If she was here, that would be her upset pick of the week.
It'd have to be her upset pick of the week.
All right.
So next is Chaos versus Barflies. I know my pick.
Here's the thing. There's only so many weeks that he can start Jordy Nelson
Not
win on his team and keep winning. I think this is not that week.
Not by a long shot.
So I got KS over the Barflies. That's an upset. I mean, like, whether he's playing the lane or not, I'm like, you're in a strong first position. We've talked about the fact that your team goes as Dallas goes, but I mean, he's been squeaking out wins. He squeaked out a win at 82 points last week.
Squeaked out one at 70-something points.
Yeah. So
Where have I heard that before?
unless you make some like aggressive trades and make some switches, or at least get people that aren't playing
Well,
in
he's
your lineup.
got to get his money in to do the trades and the ad drops. So I mean, he's got to work with what he has on his bench.
Yeah.
And he actually has points on his bench that he could put Nelson on his bench, move one of his wide receivers out of a flex position into the wide receiver position, and flex anybody else on his bench just to have a full starting staff.
So I'm guessing you're taking you.
Oh, without a doubt.
How about you, go?
Hey, honey, why don't you turn around and show me the Lower East Side?
That's the east side.
That's the east side. But, I'm with Quagmire. Clinton, I mean, you have the more complete team. At the end of the day,
Apparently that was what Quagmire was talking about.
The east side is the complete team.
Check me out.
yeah, it's exactly.
Basically, I mean, and I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, but if Garrett puts the ball in Romo's hands like he did at the end of last week and Romo starts marching again, he's going to put up points. He's been doing well at that. And as Aaron says, I go as Dallas goes. And as long as Austin and Whitten are catching and Romo's throwing, I'm going to put up points. Victor Cruz is still in this matchup. He's going to put up points. John, put up the team that has the points. Don't put up Jordy Nelson. Seriously? Give me a fight. If you're going to fight anybody, fight me, please. Seriously.
Transvestite, back off.
I'll fight a transvestite. I ain't scared. It's half the man that any of the others are. So moving on. Last matchup of the week, we've got the Annihilators versus the Burn.
This is actually, I honestly think this is going to be a tough matchup for both of them. However, Bernie does not have Aaron Rodgers going with her. That's her workhorse. And I have to go with Christina on this. I think she's going to put the better lineup in there. After all said and done, I think that's you winning on this and my upset.
I will give you the fact that you actually chose this as your upset because based off of what they're looking at right now, there's absolutely no way that Christine can pull off this game. Based off of the fact that she's lost McFadden to a high ankle sprain, she's lost Percy Harvin, she's lost Fitz is on a bye. She lost 3 of her starters. Now, granted, Bernie does have Aaron Rodgers out. She has to plug somebody else in. So let's say she goes from 30 points, 35 points a game via quarterback to 20 points a game. Well, you just lost 3 of your starters and trying to plug in people from their bench. If Christine makes adjustments, she has a viable chance, but only because Aaron Rodgers is off. I still got to take, unless Christy takes some really aggressive moves.
Well, she has all year. So, I mean, I got to applaud
Well,
her.
she hasn't yet, and tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I'm taking Bernie.
I'm gonna take the burn also, just
Even
for
without
the
Aaron Rodgers.
yeah. The simple fact is, she can plug almost anybody. She's gonna lose anywhere from 15 to 10 points off her total score, just
But
because
she had
of
Fitz, right?
Yeah.
Backup?
Fitzpatrick.
He's Irish.
Is that what you're going off of?
I got to ask you this. Quite, I mean, we've bagged on B all year long, but, I mean, what do you think he has to do to get into the Super Bowl?
Well, you can whore yourself out to 1,000 fat chicks for $50 a piece, or 50 really fat chicks for $1,000.
Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, if he does that, he can get into the Super Bowl and pay his league fees.
Yeah.
So then he can do some ad drops.
But they gotta pay.
See, and that's what we're saying.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, they all got to pay. So from us here at the National Players Club Garage Pod to all you wonderful fans, keep watching, stick around. We got more weeks to come. At least 3 more after this.
Yeah, 3 more.
So you got 3 more episodes with us if you can stomach it that long.
You know, we're gonna have to somewhere between now and then. We're gonna have to figure out how to do a live remote for either the playoffs. Because obviously the Super Bowl we're gonna be like in hanging out, but I mean the playoffs going into it, like the wild card round, we gotta do a live remote with via some TVs, stuff like that. But we'll get it worked out. Send any questions still on the. No one's plugged anything on the.
No, it's like they're not watching.
Well, if you can post them, but, you know.
Yeah, well,
you know, that's
we've posted a lot more than we have not posted.
Jack our poll.
So,
Quake, you got anything for us?
And on that note,
we're out of here. We'll see y'all next week.
get your lineups in.
Yeah, Thursday. Tomorrow starts it.
Booyah.
We're out, guys.